All right, season 7, episode 17, All Things, the one and only episode, the one and only thing ever written and directed by Gillian Anderson. This is it. This is the one thing. She never
Yeah.
wrote and she never directed anything else. There was some like short or something on her IMDb page, but other than that, this is it. It's kind of crazy to me that she
Actually,
just did one thing
yeah.
ever. I guess she probably just did this and was like, that was not my thing.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
David did it a couple times.
He
I
seems
want to
to like it.
try.
Yeah.
And she was like, nah, this isn't for me.
I actually really like this episode. So, I don't know. I think it's a cool one.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the like weirder, more like metaphysical episodes of X-Files, and I quite like it.
Well, as we know,
And yeah.
having looked into the trivia of this show, behind the scenes, David Duchovny is the skeptic, and
Yeah.
Gillian Anderson is the believer. She's the one that would actually write something like this
Right.
because she actually believes in this kinds of stuff.
Sure. And this is great for Dana's character because we get so many episodes with her and her Catholic roots and all this, and it's always really hard to kind of like she's such a skeptic, but yet she has this like religious side, and they always seem to be at odds with each other. And we've talked about like so many times where she has some like intense religious experience, but then she doesn't believe, Mulder when there's something else happening, and so it's really frustrating. But this episode, because it's definitely a spiritual episode, but it's like not really at all related to Catholicism or like anything.
No,
Like
it's
it's
Buddhism.
much more like, yeah, Eastern and like even New Agey, I would say, which is really interesting to
She ends
see.
up in like a Buddhist temple
She
where she
does.
receives a vision.
Yes, she does. But I feel like everything that leads her there is it's a much more eclectic, like spiritual
Mm-hmm.
thing than what we're used to seeing
Yeah.
Scully in.
Yeah.
So I like that a lot.
Well, we can start at the beginning of the episode. So this teases that Mulder and Scully finally had sex, and I was thinking like, okay, like Gillian sat down and was like, all right, I feel like it's my
duty.
yeah, it's
It's
like
my time.
yeah, like I can be the one
Yeah.
to do this, and all in all for nothing. In the end, it ends up being a cop out. She fell asleep on his couch, and then he went to bed, and then she gets up in the morning to get ready, and he's in bed.
Yeah.
So they make it look like, without context, that they slept together. They did not. She slept on the couch. So that was a tad annoying because I do feel like if anyone had the right to finally write the episode that Mulder and Scully were intimate like that with one another, I feel like it should have either been David or Gillian that did it. So I don't know. I don't know if there's like some kind of stipulations
Mm.
or limitations in what they're allowed to write.
I can only imagine that
That
there
Chris
has to
Carter's
be.
like, I don't want them to have sex.
Yeah.
I don't want them to be a couple. I only wonder, I have to wonder if like
Or
Chris
just
Carter
like,
was like, I don't want them to be romantic. I want them to maybe flirt. I want, and I feel like the studios might have been pushing for it the whole time.
mm,
And he's like giving them little bits here and there, teasing things almost to just kind of like appease them, but never really giving them what they want.
mm,
But all of that really did is just get the audience like hungry for it.
right.
And here we are almost at the end of 7 seasons. And it's like, you're going to tease that they slept together, but then they're going to, you're going to take it away at the end. It's like, I don't know, man. We talked about it plenty here, but it really is getting to that point where I'm like, I don't even care anymore. Like, how long can you draw this out? How many
Yeah.
times can you tease it? You have the moment in the movie where they're going to kiss and it's like they're 1 inch away and then a bee sting happens. And it's like, come on.
I know.
This is like Blue Balls, the show.
Yeah, yeah. I can only imagine that there is some type of like, you could write the episode, but they can't do this, this, or this, like because of a plan to either do it later in a different scenario, or as you said, because he's just like, I don't want this. Anyway,
We
but
know that's not true because season 5 was supposed to be the end of the show and they were
yeah,
supposed to move into movies. And when he went into a movie,
he was gonna
he
move into
still
that.
didn't
Yeah,
fucking have them kiss.
I don't know, but instead of Mulder in this, we get one of her past like romances,
She loves
and
them older men.
yeah, it's a professor of
It
hers.
makes sense because
And
she's so intellectual and so
yes,
mature, and
yeah,
she wants to be seen as such.
yeah, and she
So
likes
she
to be
gravitates towards like, you know,
like
mentor figures. Yeah,
academic
yeah.
people. And yeah, this is definitely, though, it's really cool to get this like take, because that's also something that we've talked about where there's seems to be, I think we literally were talking about it perhaps like right before we watched this episode, how Mulder has all of these like, he just has all these not even flings, but just like people like crushes or like like women that he flirts with and stuff, and we just very rarely get that with Scully. So it was nice to see her in that light, because I think that she gets very like boxed in as just like the sexy like smart agent woman that's like kind of one dimensional in some ways.
Mm,
And so getting to see like part of her past is specifically a past that she's like not proud of,
yeah.
because we find out that she ruined this guy's life, not intentionally at all, but like he was married and he had kids, like his daughter is like the same age as Scully, or close.
I'd like to add an amendment to that because I would say that, you know, he ruined
He
his
did, well, that's
life,
what I was gonna say, like
and
she doesn't, she
Scully,
leaves.
yeah, Scully does, but it's his family's life that's
Yes,
ruined.
right.
This guy, he doesn't give a
Because
shit.
she calls it off, like, they
Yeah,
have an affair, and
yeah.
she moves away, and she's like, I'm not doing this, like I'm not gonna do it with a married man anymore, right? And he, yeah, like puts his whole life on hold for like 10 years. In fact, he moves to like the DC
Yeah.
area, doesn't tell her that he's there, and she's like, we get a lot of scenes with him because she finds him. So like everything in this episode happens by um like she like synchronicities, like she's being led to these places in like seemingly like mystical ways,
Yeah.
and she ends up getting to the hospital and
Well,
picking up
she
files.
keeps seeing this woman,
She
and
keeps seeing a
who,
woman.
like, the first time she sees her, this like she almost runs into her on the street, and so she hits her brakes, and that prevents her from dying in a car accident because a truck would hit her if this woman didn't stop her.
Yeah,
Right, then the woman also leads her to like that Buddhist temple where she sees the vision, and then
yeah,
and then in the very end she thinks she sees the woman again, and she goes and grabs her, and when she turns around it's Mulder.
which is great, I love that. Yeah, she's like,
So I don't really know who this woman is supposed to be.
it's kind of
It's her
like
guardian
she's,
angel
yeah, like an
or something,
angel
but
or like a spirit guide or something.
we never get it. You know what would have been cool is if it looked like from behind
Her
the
sister.
nurse who guided her back in the hospital in
Oh
that boat,
yeah,
when she's out in
yeah,
the boat,
yeah,
because she was like
that's
her
right,
guardian
right,
angel,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, we don't ever really know who the woman is, but she, yeah, she gets led along this path like by running into her, and then also having these like synchronistic moments happen where when she does get to the hospital, she's trying to pick up files and ends up having the file of this ex fling of hers. So that's how she learns he's in the hospital, because he has a heart condition. Um,
Right, because isn't the woman who's at the desk hands her the
is
wrong
her.
file? It's the woman that she's been looking for. We actually get to see her face in
We
that,
do, and
because when
she
she
goes
comes back,
back and
that
is
girl's
like,
missing,
yeah,
and she's like, she's not sitting there. But they
right.
don't really focus any attention on that. I feel
No,
like
they
we're
don't.
supposed to notice that she's missing, and Scully, I don't feel like
No,
she
she
knows.
does. She
Does she
asks, she's
notice?
like, "Where is she?" And they're like,
Oh,
"No,
does she
like
mention
there's,
that?
yeah, like it
Okay.
was just me or
So that's
something."
supposed to be her, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, who the hell is this
I
woman?
don't know.
She does.
Yeah.
She is in a hospital. Maybe it is. Well, I'd have to look back, but I think the woman
I
in the
think the
boat
other one was
episode
an
is like
older
older,
woman, yeah.
right?
Anyway, so that's how she finds this guy, and she just, Mulder like goes off to, I think, the UK, like England or
Yeah. Yeah,
something,
he's looking
to
for
look at
crop
crop
circles. Yeah.
circles, and he's like asking her to go pick some stuff up, and she's kind of like, she doesn't really want to do it, but she does end up doing it for him. And she has this like conversation with the woman there, who is also like very new agey and had cancer but was able to cure it, because like it's a lot of this episode is kind of about how, and this is the Eastern medicine, Eastern like spirituality, but like how any illness in the body is a reflection of either like emotional issues or like spiritual issues that are like manifesting as body problems. um which is then what ends up leading her to, like, Dana has like a Reiki person come and do an energy healing on this guy.
That scene doesn't really make a ton of sense to me because the guy does say like he's done. He's like all you can do now is just kind of like say your piece. Like he's moving on. He's dying,
I think that
and
what that
then he
is
fully
like,
recovers and comes
well,
back.
he's like something's holding him here. Like he would leave now, but something's holding him here, and it's Scully. And so
Right.
like I think after that moment is when she's like, she like really ends it like very heavily and is like, no, like
He's
we're not a thing. So like if he was to
she should
have
have walked
another,
out of the room and then he should have just died.
if he has another, yeah, another instance like that, like he would leave potentially, right? Like because that's like that's where his illness is supposedly from, is like holding on to this thought of
Yep.
her and like being in a relationship with her, which is really sad because it's like, on one hand it probably did start out as love, but it's like again he messed up his like life with his family, and like you kind of just put his whole life on hold for her without ever even like contacting her. And anyway,
Dude has a daughter.
he does.
Dude has
And
a daughter and he's hanging on to life for a fling he had with a student like
yeah,
20 years ago.
it's
Like, don't get me
irresponsible.
wrong.
And
Like, I don't doubt that he's got a thing for Scully. I mean, I get it. And I totally understand that. But when you have a fucking kid and all you're hanging on for is
yeah,
some fling from like a decade or two
well, and
ago,
that's what Scully kind of tells him.
super
He's
lame.
like, you need to like talk to her and like be there for her,
Yeah.
like she needs you. And that's kind of the end of his story. Like we see the daughter walk in and they like, you know
They kind of
they
make
kind of
up.
make up or
Yeah,
whatever, so
because
we
she
can only,
allows her to use the
yes,
Reiki guy.
yeah,
Or is that what it is? Reiki?
I don't know if they say
Whatever he
Reiki,
is.
but it's some energy healing.
Yeah. Because the
But
doctor's like, this is bullshit. This is quack medicine.
yeah,
And then the
and the
daughter
daughter's like,
walks
oh,
in.
if it doesn't hurt, like why
Yeah.
not? Which is, I, yeah, 100%, like, but yeah, we can only assume that he then starts to focus on his daughter some more, which is good. But
But to counter your point there, we just watched a movie called Sleep where you can see why it doesn't matter. Like, it can hurt.
it can hurt.
It
It
depends. Like, if
can.
you play into someone's psychosis and they lose it because of the
Yes,
information you're giving them,
I
that
would
can
say,
absolutely fuck your whole thing up.
yeah, if you're playing into psychosis, and then there's also just the like placebo effect, whether you believe in that kind of thing or not, like that can also have an impact on you, but hopefully for the better, unless you think that it's not going to help you, and then it can have like a negative placebo effect. But then also, if you do believe in that kind of thing, there's plenty of people who it's like, you want the right person to be doing energy healing on you, because if someone has bad intentions or is, whatever, they could also mess things up. So I feel like there's like three ways that that could
Yeah.
actually potentially be bad. um anyway, yeah. But I love the ending. I love that she's running after this lady and then she grabs it and it turns out to be Mulder. I think that's really cool. Like, and then they have this whole like moment at the end where she like tells him everything on the couch, on his couch, and they just kind of like, they have like a, it's kind of like like the rock, where they're stuck on the rock. Like it's one of those
Mhm.
like they just, I feel like they rarely get these like connection like conversations where they're
Very
not
rare.
talking about like
A
a case,
case.
they're talking about their lives and like what they believe. And
Yeah.
it's very sweet. And the fact that she just kind of falls asleep and he's like tucking the hair behind her ear and just like looking at her.
Well,
It's,
she falls asleep while he's telling her that like fate has brought them together,
yeah,
and basically being like, I feel like that's like, you know, we're meant to be together,
yeah,
right?
I
And
do too.
he's kind of uh laying it out there like, I think we're supposed to be
Yeah,
together. And
and then
he's
she's like
taking his shot basically, and then he looks over and she's asleep, and it's like that's almost like a wink and a nod in a way from the writers, or at least Scully's the writer, but like Chris Carter, where it's like, it's fate that
yeah,
Scully would fall asleep when Mulder is admitting his romantic feelings for her.
yeah.
It's
Like
like,
they
oh,
always just miss each other's.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. Annoying. But a good
So
episode.
fucking
I think it's a
annoying.
really cool episode. I think it's a woo-woo episode, but I really liked it, and I think that it's a nice one to get with Scully.
Yeah.
So,
No, yeah, very good. That's a lower rating on IMDb,
mm,
so I don't know how it was received when it came out, but No, it's a good one. And we talked about it for quite a while.
Yeah.
You know, this isn't a quick little 5 minute episode for us, so we must have had some kind of thoughts towards it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, all right. We'll see you in the comments. Bye.
Bye.